So in this video, I want to talk about the aspect of Mercury Trine Uranus in the birth chart. Mercury-Uranus aspects point to a tendency to, let's say, pull from intuitive pools of information that people either appreciate and find intriguing, or they may find it difficult, let's say, to relate to it or understand it and understand where you're coming from. I think with something like the square, it's more likely that people would find it difficult to understand it or relate to it, or, some Mercury square Uranus people can be seen as like very eccentric thinkers, or like the eccentric professor type almost. Someone with outlandish ideas that occasionally works and pushes the collective forward in some way, and occasionally it doesn't land properly because people are not necessarily open to receiving it yet. With the trine, I think let's say the tendency to think of things that other people wouldn't think of is so natural and so instinctive and so much a part of your wiring that you don't necessarily appreciate it fully, because you've already let's say incorporated it into your psyche in such a way that you don't necessarily notice it or appreciate it to the level that you would, let's say, if you had something like the square, because with the square you have to work at whatever it is your planets are telling you. So if you have the square between two planets, there's always like an inner dialogue, an inner conflict even, of trying to integrate those two sides of you in a way that can create much more friction. So with the trine, it's so natural for the person to intuitively come up with things and just communicate in a way that is very intuitive, that they don't necessarily appreciate it or notice it to the level that they would with something else. So I know somebody, for example, with Mercury Trine Uranus, who is very often speaking in ways that seems sometimes outlandish to others or unusual to others, or they're often seeing connections as well between things, and kind of seeing observations and noticing things that other people just don't notice, and they will call attention to that in some way. So they will notice something in the environment. This is a very common theme with this person. They will notice something in the environment that is different, or that isn't working well, or that something has been added to the environment, or something has been taken away from the environment. It's one reason, or one explanation, I would say, put it that way, one explanation why they would be like that is that the Mercury Trine Uranus is a mirror of that part of herself. So she will notice things, and the Mercury Trine Uranus isn't necessarily like an explanation or that it's because of that, but it's like a mirror. It's mirroring the fact that this person can see and notice things and make unusual observations and connections that others just don't make. It's a very unique aspect in that sense. And I think with Mercury Trine Uranus in particular, it's very beneficial to find an avenue or find a platform, let's say, where, I said this in the Mercury square Uranus video as well, is that it's important and beneficial to find a platform, what is my hair doing? To find a platform where you can express your ideas, especially your more unique and, let's say, outlandish ideas. With Mercury square Uranus, it will be like really beneficial to kind of have a platform to maybe express some of your more outlandish or extreme ideas in like a safe way, a safe platform, or if they're just something new that people haven't considered, is to have like a safe platform for that, so that people don't get upset, or people maybe have similar views. So it's less likely to cause chaos. With the square, it can cause a bit more chaos. With the trine, as we're talking about here, I think with the trine, it's also very beneficial to have a platform, any platform. A lot of times Uranus has to do with the internet as well. So maybe perhaps something on with the internet, like making videos or blog content, or just something on the internet, forums even. Have a platform in which you can express some of your, let's say, intuitive ideas, your original ideas, outlandish or sometimes extreme ideas, although it's less likely with the trine than the square. It's still beneficial to do that with both of these, like with the square and with the trine. So with the trine, it's beneficial to do it so that you can, I think, come to know yourself better, in the sense that, okay, I'm appreciative more now of this tendency in myself. Because with the trine, it is actually true, I think, that, trines can be ignored at times by the person. They can have a lazy quality to them. We've heard that a lot, but I think it's true in some sense. Like with the trine, it's almost like you're not necessarily noticing or being appreciative of that quality in yourself, because it's so natural. It's so much part of your wiring that it's not something that you felt that you had to work for. So it's not like with the square. So with the trine, you may not even understand this part of yourself. You might, intuitively know that you have this, but you don't necessarily grasp onto it in a strong way that, like, yes, I'm this kind of person that thinks in these kinds of ways or does these kinds of things. So I think by having some sort of platform, like a platform maybe on the internet or anywhere, where you can express some of your original ideas and your intuition. It's a very, very intuitive aspect. Just coming up with intuitive connections, ideas, putting things together that other people wouldn't put together. And it's a way to kind of push things forward in the planet, really. Like that's part of the function of these kinds of aspects, is to actually to push the planet forward and to come up with new forms of consciousness and ideas, new things coming in. So you are like a vessel for new ideas and new things coming in. And so I think with something like Mercury Trine Uranus, it is beneficial to have a platform where you can express these ideas, again, in a safe way. But with the square, it's more that you're maybe, you have maybe the potential to cause chaos or some kind of disagreements because of the way that you communicate these ideas. But I think with the trine, it's more that the platform isn't beneficial for just that, but it's also beneficial for you to yourself understand that, wow, I came up with something good, and I'm actually creative, and I'm actually intuitive. Wow. Like it's actually a way for you to mirror that for yourself. So if you write something on a blog or make a video about something, when you watch it back or read it back, you can see like, okay, I actually made some good points, and I actually came up with something great, and that just came out of nowhere. It came from the back of my head, because that is so much part of you that maybe other people notice more than you notice. Other people appreciate it so much in you, maybe, that you don't really appreciate it yourself, because you don't necessarily notice it. Like I say, it's so natural, part of your hard wiring, in such a like instant way. That's probably not the correct way to say it. It's just part of your wiring in a natural way, where it's just you. It's just part of who you are, but it's so much so that you may not notice the nuances of it, and you may also be maybe not so productive in making it work in some way. It's not like the square, which is very much about requiring work from the person. Trine doesn't really require work, unless it's something that, you go overboard with the quality of yourself or something. Like some trines, you can actually overdo something, or it's so natural that it just can create some kind of chaos as well. But I think with, if I was to give any sort of guidance or advice with this aspect, it would be to have a platform in which you can express yourself, especially your ideas of maybe the collective consciousness, your ideas about what the collective is and how the collective can be moved forward, and also just other intuitive ideas, even interesting recipes, honestly, like even interesting ways to do things around the house, like even simple things like that can be a place for the Mercury Trine Uranus to come out. And you can express that in a safe, creative space. And you can see, like a mirror, like, wow, I did that, I said that. I actually am interesting, I am actually intuitive. I am actually coming up with things that, I just thought it was like natural. I thought everybody did this. I thought this was second nature to everybody. But it's not, because not everybody has this aspect. So you are embodying unique views and unique thoughts and ideas more than the average person that doesn't have this aspect, if that makes sense. At least that's one way of looking at it, right? So again, just have some kind of platform to express ideas that come to you out of nowhere, because it's so much part of you. It just comes. So when you express that, then not only do other people get benefits from it, but you get benefits from it, because it's a way for you to appreciate yourself more. It's a way for you to see, like, wow, I actually came up with that. So the person I was talking about earlier, she's very creative, but because it's a trine, she doesn't necessarily apply it fully. So just recently she created something very simple. She has an earth trine with this, so Mercury in Taurus, Uranus in Virgo. So it's an earth trine, very practical, practically oriented. And she made something with her hands, practical, with practical results, created something practical, or made something with her hands practically, earth, using very earthy things as well, like a piece of art, a piece of like decoration that she made. And she didn't realize, it's like she didn't give herself credit for the fact that she actually does this a lot, or at least every once in a while. She will create something that just, wow, it just comes to her, and other people enjoy it and other people appreciate it, but she doesn't necessarily give herself the full credit that's actually something that she could do. Like she could push that quality of herself further, because I think with the trines that we have, we don't necessarily think to push that forward more. We just kind of have it, but we don't necessarily, that's why they call it the lazy aspect sometimes, because we don't necessarily feel a need to push that part of ourselves forward, because it's so much part of us already that it's not something that we have to work for. It just is. So I think with this, just have a platform or create something in a structured way even, that would give you the appreciation towards yourself and what you can give and what you can create. It's a very intuitive aspect, especially if it's very tight by degrees. So in the case of this person that I was talking about, I think she has a 2-degree orb, so it's fairly tight. And again, look at the signs. So, Mercury in Taurus, very practical, kind of more practically minded, grounded minded. And Uranus in Virgo, Virgo is also very earthy, practical, wants to, it's kind of working with your hands and details and nitpicking, not nitpicking, but, picking at little things, just kind of making something in a structured way, even though it is a generational position, Uranus in Virgo. But in her case, it does make sense that like Mercury in Taurus, trine Uranus in Virgo, and she made something with her hands that she didn't even realize how creative that thing was and how creative she is by making those things. And it's just about, I think, pushing it a little bit further in the sense that like try to do it more, create things more, create an environment for yourself and others where you're creating something or giving intuitively something, ideas, videos, like have a channel maybe, or a blog of some sort, and give these ideas regularly, so that you can actually notice it in yourself more, and other people can be very inspired by these people as well, because they're pulling from very intuitive places that are hard to describe. It's a bit like Neptune in the sense that it's hard to describe, but with Uranus it's more like sudden electrifying ideas almost that come from some place intuitively, and they can push the planet forward, and they can push your own circle and your own surroundings forward in some way. With Neptune, it's more like it's just the beauty of the higher realms and like spiritual and like mysticism. With Mercury Uranus, it's not necessarily mysticism, it's more like inventiveness, intuitive inventiveness, just off the mind, saying things that people wouldn't say. They wouldn't expect people to say this. But it's like, wow, that actually makes sense, or that's actually the truth of the matter. So sometimes this person that I was talking about will say something that, other people are saying one thing, but she actually would say what the truth actually is. Like, it turns out later that she was actually correct. And she just knew it intuitively, right? So, I'm going to leave it at that. If you'd like more from me, do subscribe and leave a thumbs up if you like this, and leave a comment if you have any thoughts about this. If you'd like a reading of your own astrology reading, you can contact me at mattothinks@gmail.com. And thank you for watching.